If you like what we do here, be sure to like and subscribe. Even support us on Patreon. Now let's go. Welcome, Popper Commanders. How are you doing? I'm just kind of rolling into this. Today I have with me Miles from the Jalapeno Poppers. Say
Yo.
hello, Miles. Yeah. So,
Hey, what's up, Poppers?
what's up? I got it in real time. So today is a continuation of our Your First series. Previously, I did a Your First tournament series, or video rather, where we talked about like your expectations and all of that stuff. And then, as it turns out, a little time later, I ran into someone who was about to have that very same experience. I was like, hey, you mind talking about that like after the fact? Well, this is after the fact. Miles played in a tournament over the weekend, the same tournament that I played in, had a much better record and experience than I did in that tournament, which I'm super grateful for. I won't be bringing his deck up, but I'll definitely have the link to his deck in the description so you can see, and it's the live link, not captured in time, so because it's his actual link, you'll see it updated as he matures it over the course of time, should he decide to do so. And then, because it was at this time of recording, it was last updated 5 days ago, so like right after day of event. Yeah. So,
yeah, it must have been.
So yeah, okay. So Mr. Miles, one half of the illustrious Jalapeno Poppers.
That's right.
Making the contents, making the tournament scene. How are you feeling about that experience after the fact? Are you glad?
I think I feel great. Yeah, overall great, really fun, and probably the best outcome that I could have asked for is getting fifth, actually, or placing just outside the top four, because I had a time crunch. And so I was very anxious about making top four. And so I was watching and trying to keep track of all the games. And I was texting Bernie and like, what's going on in that game? What's going on in that game? And so it looked like I was going to, miss the top four, which I was like, okay, great. So my wife and I had a previous dinner commitment, and I was getting dressed and I was watching the computer and it was like, okay, it looks like I'm out, so I'm good. And then he texted me. I was at the dinner like 15 minutes later. He's like, actually, if these guys tie, if this pod ties, it looks like you will be top four. And I was like, what? No. And so I had already messaged Chris and was like, yeah, I'm going to have to drop, but it looks like I'm not going to make top four anyway. And so, but then Bernie was texting me and I was getting anxious. Yes, it was very close, but I'll take it. It was really, I had zero expectations, and so getting 2 wins was great.
Absolutely,
and it was really, really fun, really good experience.
So that's in the present day. You reflecting on the event. Let's take it back a little bit. So, sure. Where did your magic? So I told him earlier that this would be somewhat akin to a winner's circle interview, where I wanted to kind of get the origin story of like, okay, how did you get from there to here? So in the next minute or so, what's your magic history like?
And I joked with you. I said, we're gonna just do a 2-for-1. We'll just do my first magic and the winners. So I'll save you some time, Clay. Unfortunately, I did my best. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But okay, so I played Magic when I was a kid, mostly because my older brother was into it, and it was early on. I don't even know, early 90s or whatever. Then I think for a lot of folks, typical story of like, it falls off, and I didn't play for years and years, and then maybe 2021, maybe some friends were like, hey, we're playing Magic again. You remember Magic, right? And I was like, I remember Magic. That would be so fun. So picked it up again and just have been all in ever since. So mostly, Commander, but then I would go to a lot of Limited. I really like Limited, and so I would draft online and I would go to pre-release events, and that's where I've been my focus has been since 2021 or so, back into it.
So why Pauper Commander? That's the primary question. How did you get here from there?
Good question. Yes. So Bernie and I were talking because we reconnected through Magic as well. We knew each other years ago, and then we reconnected. He messaged me and said, "Hey, you play Magic?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And so we went to an event together. We started talking, and we talked about making content, and we talked about Pauper Commander as a good format to kind of focus on. And so, like, okay, that sounds cool. Let's learn more about this. Let's get more into it. So maybe initially it was about, yeah, this would be a great place to cover content wise, but it quickly became much more than that. The community was so awesome. We got to know people. We got more involved. We started building decks and playing Pauper Commander, which it was a different flavor than Commander. And we just fell in love, both of us. We were just both like, whoa, this is really fun. It's super fun to build decks. We just kept thinking about it. I built, 5 Pauper decks and forgot about my EDH decks. And so why Pauper Commander? I think the community, super welcoming, super friendly, very approachable. And then it's an amazing format. It's super fun. It's super fun to build decks and really fun to play. And it feels like more fundamental Magic to me, and a lot of it happens on the battlefield, and that's why I fell in love. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, we'll make the next logical leap. So we found out why Pauper Commander. Why competitive Pauper Commander? What instigated you getting into a mindset of like, okay, there's this event on the horizon. I'm going to register. I'm going to pay money, and then I'm going to construct a deck. How did that happen?
Well, I think, again, through the community, I think a lot of folks play competitive as well as casual, but I think there's a lot of overlap there. But I really liked what the community was doing. It was interesting. Competitive Pauper was interesting to me, and we've played with Islane, and I've played with Ryan Papa Pauper in Vegas and saw his Hollow Marauder deck live, and so I just thought the competitive scene is very interesting, and I think it would be fun to try to be competitive, try something new. Another aspect that Ryan and I talked about, or Bernie and I talked about, was that we wanted to try something a little different, a little off flavor, off meta. And so that was very intriguing as well, to see if we could brew something a little different that would still be competitive. And we got help from that. We got input from the community. We've talked to, Lobert about his thoughts, and we've talked to Papa Pauper about his thoughts. And so the community's been super nice and helpful about getting into competitive as well. They're willing to give advice and tips and say, yeah, this might work, or you could try this, or I don't know if that will work, or so. And then I think, Bernie and I are competitive. I'm competitive just by nature, right? And so it's fun to test yourself and to put yourself in that scenario and see what you can do. And so it was exciting, right? It was an exciting, you up the stakes a little bit and make a day out of it, and it's an event and it's fun.
Nice. So you settled on Galloping Lizrog. So out of all the Simic commanders on the face of the planet, why this one? Slimes, one word, slimes. And you're playing 30 slimes against humanity, not a non-zero number of slimes.
Amen. So I've always kind of been intrigued by the slimes against humanity, and as a card, like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I like all the cards that you can have more than one of. So that's just an interesting place to start. But I was like, these slimes can get pretty big pretty quick. They have trample, so that's already a plus. This was a list inspired by Papa Popper. He has a Galloping Lizrog list, and so we took that. I think it's maybe 8 months to a year old or whatever, but we took that. Bernie and I worked on it, adapted it. Bernie and I were both going to play variations of the deck. He had a different commander for his, but we were still going to focus on slimes, Simic slimes. Galloping Lizrog, because it's kind of another slime in the command zone. It can be another big slime that you can cast from the command zone. It removes creatures from your existing slimes, doubles them, and it's just a huge beater. And so the tweaking of Papa Popper's deck, we went through a lot of iterations and found a good place for those. And I just like the idea of being, I think we talked before the tournament, it was a kind of a proactive mid-range. So not necessarily aggressive, not full out aggro, but we want to be attacking every turn, and we want our slimes to be huge early on. And that was the idea behind this deck. It's also an easy deck to play. You don't have to be very smart. And so I was like, you have to keep track of what piece goes where and when to sequence this. I cast slime. I cast slime. Easy.
So for clarity, today is the 29th. The tournament was 5 days ago. I'm looking at the history for this list that you put together. It was copied from Papa Popper's Ryan's list 13 days ago. So you put this together and play tested and developed over the course of, I was going to say 8 days, but more like 7 days, because you probably didn't do any testing on the day before or anything like that.
Yeah.
So as you were kind of converting, because the way I like to explain people's lists, there are some people in the community who believe that they or a team or whatever can hone a particular list and get it down to like the purest essence of that particular list or archetype or whatever. That can happen, and when that happens, they can take that pure list and give it to another player and have the expectation of performance just by transferring players. I'm not in that camp whatsoever. I do believe that lists do need to be tailored to the player playing the list. Now, granted, your core pieces might remain the same. So in this instance, your commander, its relationship with slimes and that sort of thing. But other pieces like draw, counter magic, protection, ramp, these other pieces have to necessarily be tweaked to your playstyle. And quite frankly, I've seen Gretchen lists that are, a dozen or 15 cards different than the air quotes top end list. And it's still fine, it's still capable of doing whatever it is that Gretchen does.
Right.
God bless her. So tell me about that playtesting process, for other people such as yourself who, may not have the I was going to say the bravery, the gumption, the brass knuckles, to
the naivety, the stupidity.
But for newer players to the format out there who find themselves in a similar situation where there is a tournament occurring on the near horizon and they have 7 or 8 days, what can they accomplish in 7-8 days? That's kind of what I'm getting at the heart at. So how did you found the list, and then you intentionally duplicated it so you could make changes. What did that, I know you got advice from folks, what did that tuning process look like? What were the mechanisms going through your brain to kind of help basically tailor this to you? What did that look like?
Yeah. Good question. I think to be fair, it didn't all happen in 7-8 days necessarily. I mean, we had been talking about different decks. We were even looking at Samut, the Planeswalker, because Planeswalkers were legal in this tournament. So Samut is a Planeswalker that's 2 and a Gruul that says your creatures have haste. And so we were thinking of a slime deck. If our slimes had haste, what would that be like? So we were on that for a little bit. So it took a little bit longer to land on a Simic commander, but that's how we kind of got there. We're like, this isn't quite working. We need a little more time to maybe work on a Gruul slime commander. And then we thought, well, blue, we probably need blue. And then we found, Papa's list and said, okay, this is a great place to start. Let's work on this. We looked up other commanders, Simic commanders. We looked at other options, and I landed on Lizrog, and then Bernie landed on a different one. I don't remember the name of it off the top. It's kind of obscure. But anyways, so we grabbed that list. We said, yeah, let's start working on this. We like these colors. Let's worry about this and start on this. And so, as we're going through the list, we were on a couple of video calls or chats, and we said, yeah, what about this? We worked on them independently first, and then we compared our lists and said, hey, are you keeping this? No, why not? Okay, because that. And this only mills 3 cards, but this mills 4, and that'll get our slimes bigger. So little tweaks like that, and we were pulling out cards, or he was like, oh, what about this card? This card mills 4 as well, and it's kind of new, like Cash Grab, for example. That's a newer card since maybe Papa built his list. And so little things like that, we're like, oh, I was just looking for value, like eking out all the little value increments that I could. Is milling 3 cards good enough to keep in this deck? No, it's not, so it's out. I want, if it doesn't mill 4 cards, it's out. It's too slow. So I kind of went through the steps that way. And do I have enough draw? And then there's lots of playtesting too. Well, there's lots of gold fishing for me, because I didn't have a live environment or whatever. So I was just gold fishing and saying, okay, does this work? Does this work? Okay, the plan is working. I also like fog, and so I threw a fog in there. I threw a Moment's Peace in there. And maybe it wasn't the original list, or maybe it was in the sideboard, but I definitely wanted it because I like that. I kind of like that.
It came in clutch at least one time.
Oh my goodness!
Yes, it did.
Yeah, it certainly did.
So let's take a pause on the gold fishing aspect. Let's drill down on that. So, when you are gold fishing, or even contemplating your card selection for deck, your deck composition, are you thinking about any concepts that are external to the list, or are you just thinking about the list itself?
Concepts outside the list, you mean the meta and what decks I'd be facing? Certainly, yeah. Although not knowing a lot of the meta, just watching your wonderful videos about top 10s and
I'll never live that one down.
So with my limited knowledge, I think it was a plus and minus, right? Because I didn't overthink things. I didn't get caught up in the outthinking myself. Oh, is this going to be good enough versus this or that or whatever? It came down to, we're going to need counter spells for combo decks, and so it was like, yeah, we better make sure we have some good counter spells in there. There's going to be aggressive decks, and so the fog was nice to have. But with our big slimes, we're just going to be winning combat, and so it was part of the attitude was, we're just going to be swinging our slimes and not worrying too much about other stuff, but we will need to deal with the combo decks in somehow, and so we've got some counter spells. And then it was just like, we'll just win combat every time with giant trampling slimes.
Was there? So okay, so that was the theory going into the deck construction and all of that. So we get up to the big day, and your first round, as I think people like to quote Patton. I think it's Patton that they quote. They also quote Mike Tyson as well. It's a similar thought process. Patton says that every operational plan doesn't survive first contact. You know, as soon as you engage with the enemy, everything just falls apart.
I'm more familiar with the Mike Tyson quote.
Yeah. Everything, your plan falls apart after the first punch. You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
So yeah, I mean, so your operational plan leading up to the event, you engage with your first round. What was the reality of that moment as those theoretical premises and the practical like start to collide? What was that like for you?
I would say I felt more comfortable.
Oh shit. Yeah.
No, actually, I think beforehand, yes, absolutely. Like all the little pageantry leading up to the event, registering and submitting your deck list and getting into the chat with everyone, the lobby, and everyone's in there chatting, and it was like, oh man, this is exciting. And then once I got into it, I was like, oh, okay, we're just playing Magic. I know how to do that. And that was fun. So I think beforehand, like I played, it reminded me of this experience. I played volleyball in high school and college and lots of tournaments. And so I get hyped up for, competition and tournaments and whatnot. And so I'm walking around my house listening to Thunderstruck and getting pumped up or whatever. And my wife's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, she's like, "You getting pumped?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's tournament time." Yeah. So it was kind of funny. I was like, the excitement is there for sure. And then once you settle in, I was like, okay, I'll just play Magic and do the best I can. And then you kind of get into your flow state of like, okay, we're playing Magic and you're focused and you're in the game and you're in the zone. And that's what I felt in round one. I was just like, okay, what are we doing here? I asked a lot of questions too. And I was up front with the folks in my pod. I was like, hey guys, this is my first tournament. So, if you have any, if I'm not doing anything right or etiquette or whatever, let me know, call me out. That's fine. Also, I don't know, what this deck does or what this deck might do or the combos or whatever. So if you guys see something, I don't know, that could be problematic as well. But I don't know if everyone welcomes that, but I said, if I don't know the combo decks, or is this a combo piece, or is he comboing, or, because I didn't know. I know some of the pieces, but people were very nice in general, like, oh no, it's not doing that, or that's not going to happen. But I was just very upfront. I was just like, guys, I don't, don't blame me if the whole table loses.
I think I have the most premier advice ever regarding combo players as a filthy dirty combo player myself. Combo players never have it until they do.
Yeah.
Period.
And that's what I learned.
So
and also they never build their deck as combo decks either. This isn't a combo deck.
You got it. So you if we're pinning the proverbial tail onto the donkey, you sir have the top score. You have the politics of tournament Magic is so ridiculous to me. I have just learned that the more they say they don't have it, the more they do have it. And okay, here's an 8/8 trampler to shut your mouth, Yeah, right. Exactly.
That was one of the most eye-opening or interesting things to me, was the table talk and the politics and how people presented themselves. or their decks rather. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to sound like everybody else by saying that I'm different. You know, you're unique just like everybody else. Yeah, no. So like if I'm playing like TPI Banishing Knack. So Banishing Knack is a 4-card combo. It is like blatantly obvious that if I search twice that, you know, maybe I'm working towards something. However, it's also sometimes blatantly obvious when I don't have it, because like Weavers or Gretchen with a land untapper that I just put into play, like, you know, you put the creature into play and everybody, oh, he's got a combo, like it's got summoning sickness. Like, what's it gonna do? Like,
yeah,
sure, maybe next turn I'll have the floor of being able to make. So I try to be as transparent as I possibly can. Like, okay, yes, I have this piece. You know this piece of information. Tell me what it does. If you can explain to me what it does accurately and then connect that to what you perceive that it's doing, if you can make that connection, then sure, I'm about to combo off, right? So
yeah,
that's the type of relationship that I like to have. I know a few other people that do that as well. The aggro and control players don't have this problem because they don't combo on, you know, normally. Usually it's like, oh, do you have another edict?
right. That's their question.
So
yeah,
no, I appreciate very much that you very quickly and appropriately had the clarity of thought relative to what combo players do in competitive tournament environments. So I found that funny.
It was interesting. Yep. I mean, it seems to me that part of your way to win as a combo player, part of the puzzle is you have to deceive the table. You have to minimize your own standing and your own pieces and deck in order to not be eliminated. Yeah.
So you the way you phrase that kind of like I mean, instantly fired. I don't want to say an epiphany. I don't want to give it that much credit, but so the way you said it was like, okay, combo players need to be somewhat shifty and underhanded.
Well, I didn't say that.
Right. So I'm making some logical leaps here, and it got me thinking. So the thought that I had was the image I had in my brain was some early era Disney villain, you know, going, you know, with their cards and all that stuff. But it made me think, like, do people like naturally like aggregate, you know, like you've got different, you know, you've got outdoor people, indoor people, extroverts, introverts, like, do archetypes have people types? So
that's your next statistic.
So that's what that's kind of where my brain went. There is the part of me that enjoys combo doesn't enjoy combo from the perspective of hidden information. The type of combo that I like to play is more like a machine. So in that in that circumstance, I am an engineer constructing a mechanism, and I'm trying to get it to. It's a drag race. That's the way I'm building a drag race vehicle, and I'm trying to start it and get it to the finish line as quickly as possible with no impediments whatsoever. And to that degree, I don't really care so much about hidden information. So
yeah, or misleading folks about what your pieces do necessarily. I would say the same thing. Like, part of combo is interesting to me and scratches my brain, and like, oh, that would be fun to be very precise about how you sequence and what you need to do to demonstrate the loop or whatever. Not necessarily minimize my own positioning, or I mean, there's always some of that, right? Like, but I also like playing fogs and combat tricks and getting people in other ways. And so I don't necessarily think, I'm not saying that I'll show you my hand and be upfront about whatever's going on over here, but. So those are fun moments too, when you're like, I have to attack you with everything, and okay, well, moments peace, we're good. So those are right. Those are fun moments for sure. But at no point did I say, well, I don't have a fog, or you got me in combat, I can't do anything, and then all of a sudden something happens. So I don't know. I just keep my mouth shut unless I have to talk.
So in your first game, well, let's do it this way. Did you have a moment in any of the rounds that you played in where you were surprised by or caught off guard, or otherwise didn't expect a thing?
Gameplay wise, or
sure, whatever comes to mind.
Well, let's see. I have my pods up here. My pod 1, I was with Azrael. He was on
Arabella.
Arabella, that's right. And he was like on 2 lands most of the game and just dominating. And I was like, oh my word. That deck's really good. I had myself, I had Kunks, and Caleb. I think Kunks was on Weaver. And then Caleb was on the mono black.
Indulging Patrician.
Is that right?
Yep.
Oh, maybe I was thinking of a different deck. Never mind. Yeah.
You're right. I just typed up all these a few days ago.
Okay, got it. Yeah, you know. So in that game, let's see. In that game, I was doing okay, and I was hitting some folks, and we were getting our slimes pretty big. Kunks, that deck's combo deck traditionally, right? I mean, primarily. So maybe I overreacted, right? Like maybe because of my lack of experience, I said, okay. And I think he had a land aura. So good for untappers. Obviously I don't know what it's in his hand. I had an opportunity to kill him and do some damage to someone else. So he was going after me, and so I decided to kill. I sent like a 6/6/7/7 at Kunks and like a 8/8 or something at, I think, Azrael. And so I killed Kunks and then did some damage to Arabella. In my mind, it was not worth the risk of letting him have another turn. In case he, popped off. I don't think there was pieces on the board to do that, or he would have done it, right? And so the information that I had, he didn't have the combo, but it's not impossible that on his next turn he has the combo. And so that was in my mind. That's why I made that decision, and whether that's right or wrong, I don't know.
Let me put you at ease there.
Sure.
As a dirty tournament winning Weavers player myself, I don't keep a hand when I'm playing Weavers. I do not keep a hand unless I have a Freed from the Real or a correlate. So a Wizard Cycler or some other thing to tutor for a Freed for the Real or similar effect. So when I start the game, I have that in my hand.
Interesting you say that, because I think he mulliganed down to 5.
So I truly believe that every Weavers player worth their salt is doing the same thing. Potentially by extension, Gretchen too. Gretchen's typically a slower. I mean, it can win with the same pieces early, but typically it's slower. But every single Weavers player that I know of that's worth a damn will mulligan to a freed from the reel piece in their opening hand. So
Sure.
There you go. So your assumption about the them not having it is correct. So you did it. You did a good thing.
Yeah, and okay, that makes me feel better. And then Arabella won that game. That deck's it does so much, and the slimes are, I think, weak to pingers and non-combat damage, and
It's
so
for Arabella, it's the disparity in life gain. You know, people look at it like, oh, I'm losing 8 life. Well, they're also gaining, so that's a 16-point
swing.
Yeah.
It's wild. It was really good. And on like 2 or 3 lands, I was like, that's awesome. So, and he made top 4, which is awesome. So, that was interesting. And then my second pod was Dax and aggro. Yeah.
Aaron.
So yes. And Aaron, yes. And so that was a pod of 3, which I don't know how much that played into my win. I'm going to say not at all. So I won that pod. Fair and square. The 4th player would have just got in the way.
I'm advocating for no more 3 pods because it favors aggro and mid-range lists.
Yeah.
So Aaron with his control list, he was on Sir Conrad, right?
Correct.
Was likely not having a good time in a 3-man pod.
Yeah, he was doing okay. He was doing okay. He was keeping us under control a little bit. Although, what's the creature the edict creature that sacrifices non-token creatures?
So that's a Curse Marauder or Chain Devil.
A Curse Marauder that came up more than once with my slimes because they're tokens, and so he played a Curse Marauder, and I have no legal targets. My slimes stay, which was kind of cool. It was interesting. That was a little bit of unexpected little bonus, but that was a fun match. Dax got was it Dargo?
Dargo Caddis, yeah.
Yes, he was on Dargo. He had Dargo out on turn 2. I was like, oh my goodness, this is bad. This is bad for us. It was intense at the end. I think if it came to my turn, if I didn't kill Dax, he would have killed both of us. He was like, I think he was 1 mana short of killing us on his turn anyway.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. That was a fun / intense match. I think I had to send everything at Dax to kill him. I think I had like 3 or 4 slimes out. Probably just, I don't know. I had to send everything at Dax, killed him, and then I had to make Aaron have it and beat me. And he was digging, and I was nervous, and he didn't have it, and so he passed, and I had enough on the board to kill him. So that was a really fun and interesting game. I was very impressed by the Dargo deck and how quickly that can get out of hand.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. One of 2 premier aggro decks in the format.
Very sweet.
People say Arabella's it's a mid-range list. You know, Arabella's not winning till like turn 10, turn 9, turn 10. So, you got just wait till you face down your first gut leader. That'll be an interesting time for you as well. So fast forward into that. I think it was your 3rd round. Was it your 3rd round? The fog.
Yeah.
The infamous fog.
Oh boy, yes. I was Islane, Lobert and Goblin.
Yeah, I forget Goblin's Goblin. It's escaping.
Oh yeah, what was he playing? He was playing a Simic.
Yeah, it's William. Old Wild Bill. Yes, that's right. He was playing. I always forget the name of this list, but it's whenever it attacks, put a counter on a creature you control. That creature's unblockable. He was doing Infect Wild Bill. Yep.
It's a Simic list. This was my best, I think probably my best match of the day, and it was fun and lots of decisions to be made, and it was great. Islane was on
Glaring Fleshraker. Yep.
Yes, that's an awesome deck. And then Lobert was on a mono white
that I can never remember the name of the damn thing.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. But
it's a list that you got it.
Yeah, all non tokens get +1/+1 and vigilance.
Yeah, it's a list that he's been piloting for a while now. So
it seems really strong. It seems great, and vigilance is awesome. Underrated, I think.
Mm-hmm.
This was interesting because I think Goblin was the combo player, and obviously I think Lobert and Islane knew that, and I don't know enough to know the warning signs, and I'm the only one who has blue.
So I have appropriately trolled, joshed, picked on, diminished Mr. Bill, William, in the days. So he's like, I don't understand it. People were just like, mad at me and attacked. It's because, you played a combo piece and then said you didn't have a combo. And then you played another combo piece right afterwards. Like, duh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. So yeah, we're all doing stuff, and I'm trying to get my big slimes, and he plays what is it, the Drake,
Peregrine Drake.
Yep, he plays the Drake, which I know. Okay, I know what that does.
Ding ding.
And then he's like, no, it's a body. I was like, okay, all right, fine, I'll believe you until I don't, and then we keep going, and I'm starting to realize, like, the Fleshraker is doing a lot of non-combat damage, and I have a couple of counter spells. I have a fog in hand, and so I'm thinking I have a way to deal with Lobert's board. I'm worried about the Fleshraker dealing that direct damage to me, and so I think there was a point where Goblin attempts to combo. He tutors for his what's the blinking
Ghostly Flicker or Displace?
Bingo. Ghostly Flicker. So he tutors for Ghostly Flicker. He has his pieces out, and then he taps out for Ghostly Flicker, and then I negate it. And Lobber was very happy. It was fun. Yeah. So that was funny. I was like, okay, now's the time. Okay, now I know when to step in here. So he does that. I think Lobert kills him on his next turn. So it's Islane and Lobert and myself. Comes to me. I think Lobert gets me down to 4. I thought about fogging at that point, but I was like, yeah, no, because he hit me for 6, I think. And I was like, yeah, I'll take that. But now I have to kill Islane so he doesn't kill me on his turn. So I swing all my slimes at Islane, which I think was surprising.
It triggered Islane, to say the least.
Yes. It was surprising until
you fog.
Until the next turn, until the fog. So, yeah, and so obviously, Lobert swings out at me. I fog, and then I had enough slimes on the backswing to finish him off.
Nice.
Yeah, that was exciting, and I beat one of my heroes, and so that was a good day.
And then you missed, top 4 cut by, let's say 6%, 7%. Opponent win rate. So
yeah, do you think it was the 3-player pod? Because I didn't have an opponent in that one, and so I guess that
it could.
My opponent had 0 win percentage in that one.
I never thought about, and my friend Chris, one more game, that might actually be yet another reason why 3-man pods are not good.
It hurts my opponent win percentage, right?
So we're gonna blame Chris one more game for you not making top 4.
Yeah,
he's never gonna watch this, but love the guy to death. I'm just messing with him. No, so you had a great outing. A great outing. So we've got about 10 minutes left, and in that 10 minutes, so we've talked about where you've come from, trying to get into your perspective and how you're, approaching. I know we didn't phrase it that way, but that's what we were doing. Get your perspective on how you're approaching the game, some of your influences that may be like, flavor your perspective, getting into like deck selection, preferences, how you engage with those preferences, like discovering what you like and what you don't like, and how you plus or minus on that feeling. Getting into the playtesting, whether you're doing any meta considerations or not, that type of thing. And then we get up to the big day, your expectations, anticipations. You've got a competitive background and other things, so being able to kind of like, enhance your calm, as they say, and get into the groove, get into the moment, and just turn that switch on to where it's like, okay, focus, get it done. And then you started working through, it sounds like to me, round by round, the way that you explained those rounds, it sounds like you went in novice and you came out maybe not expert, but definitely came out the other end intermediate, especially with how you're interacting with politics. You have the counterspell for the combo piece at the appropriate time. So looking at your journey and going from not competing in a cPDH tournament to now competing and placing well in a cPDH tournament, what I'd like to do is like put you in, let's say, my shoes. You're the experienced person who is communicating out there to the interwebs. You're talking directly to that new person who's never done this before, just like you 2 weeks ago. How would you encourage them to engage in this journey?
I think remembering that at the end of the day, it's a game. It's for fun. The cPDH tournaments are, relatively low stakes in the grand scheme of Magic, right? At the same time, it does have that sense of excitement and competition, and so you get that sensation, and that satisfies that. People take it seriously and they want to win, which is great. I would also say just try it. It was super fun, number one, and also you can bring your deck that you want to bring something fun, bring something interesting, bring something that you want to play, that you would enjoy playing, versus, oh, I have to fit into this deck, and this is the deck that wins, and so I have to play this, even if you don't want to, even if Hollow Marauder, whatever. I don't want to play that. Dirty mono black players.
Yep.
Actually, I love mono black, but no, you don't. I don't think the meta is solved enough to to say this is right and this is wrong. There's room for interesting adaptations and play what you like, play for fun, play something competitive. And it was great. Like overall, really great. Everyone was like really friendly. No one was super salty, at least to my face. So they may be cursing me behind my back or whatever, but I also kind of could justify my plays too and say, here's why I'm doing this and why I'm thinking this way. And realize like I'm not perfect. I'm not a pro, I'm not an expert, but I can explain my plays and what I'm thinking. And you can always correct me and say, hey, what about this and that? Think about this. But at least I have a reason for doing what I did.
Yeah. And there are a select few people that are, the best way that I can explain this is high level metagaming. So there are a few people in the meta right now that are looking at tournaments from, this 4D chess type of perspective. It's not super common, but there are a few people that are trying to game the system that way. But by and large, I feel like you're exactly right. This will be likely the 6th time it's been expressed on this channel, exactly what you said about playing what meets your comfort. Because the primary reason is this: if it's comfortable, that means that deck like inside and out, like the back of your hand. You can navigate, what your outs are, how it plays, the tempo feeling, the number of land drops, like how much card draw you can expect, what happens when you get in trouble this way, what happens when you get in trouble that way. Like that is the synthesis of this word comfort, that we keep expressing. And I love the fact, I think you like that was inherent to your experience. But there's a there if that is actually the case. Now that said, I would put a little caveat on there and say that maybe you should study the meta a little bit and
not a bad idea.
Utilize cPDH.guide for all your meta studying needs. But I mean, having to know every opposing deck, like the ins and outs, like you don't have to know that. You should be aware of okay, flicker combo operates this way. Yep. This is the axis in which that combo line works. Freed from the real is over here. This one uses the graveyard. This one does not. These are the high level things that you should know about these particular combos or control lists, or like mono black anything or black X anything with edicts is likely going to go edict, recursion, edict. So maybe you should plan for that.
Yep. Know the basic patterns. Yes. Right. Absolutely.
So yeah, I 100% think you nailed it on the head with a very solid approach. Now, granted, as we've elucidated, from after the fact, you can always hone your particular skills, but no, this is. I'm super hopeful somebody sees this video a year from now, even if it just gets one play a year from now. I'm hopeful that it's a new person that's like, you know what, I'm just like that Miles guy. And you know what, this galloping Lizrog thing looks pretty cool. I wonder if it's got some juice in it, so that's the thing that I live for. That's the reason why I put this type of stuff together. I don't do it for views. I don't do it for money. It's not like we're going to make a whole lot of money in competitive Pokémon Commander on YouTube anyway. So let's be a little realistic. So yeah, that was perfect. Okay, so I don't know why people save this to the end. I need to get better because I'm part of the problem. Where can people find you? Of course, everything you tell me, you're obviously going to supply me with a link so I can put it into the description of the video. So
that's right.
Look down there, and you'll see where to find the jalapeno poppers. But where? Oh, where?
Yep. The main place is on YouTube. Jalapeno Poppers is our channel. Search it up. We'll have the link for you. But yeah, that's primarily where we hang out. If you want to interact with us, we're on X and Blue Sky. You can shoot us an email, jalapeno popper PDH. Wait,
Gotta
what
verify.
is it? I don't even know what it is.
Do you have a link tree?
Oh, don't email us. We don't want your emails. Yeah, we do have a link tree, and yeah, we can just throw our link tree. But yeah, the main is YouTube and X and Blue Sky to interact with us there.
I was gonna say I've been a content creator since October of 2020. So yeah, link tree, way to go. One link.
Yep, that's right.
Does everything.
Easy. Yep, one place.
Perfect. All right, I guess this is an opportunity to make promises about playing games together. We missed each other in this particular tournament.
I was looking for you.
I know that Sanctuary is coming up in a couple of weeks. If you're watching this in the future, it already happened, and there's another video, I'm sure, relative to that. Look at this card now. No, there's no card. I'm not going back. I'm not going back to edit. No, I need to make a more concerted effort to play more practice games. And now with the cross-server LFG bot, that makes it a whole lot easier to catch games. You don't have to be in every server everywhere. You can just be in your own server. So no, we need to get some games in together. I need to show you the majesty of elves. I also need to, I don't know, maybe whip out the old crackling drake.
Yeah, you still have it together? I thought it was in not complete.
So I'm a pain in the ass when it comes to that. I've got it's sitting somewhere, you know how it goes.
You could throw it together, I'm sure, pretty quick.
Oh well, it's already together. It's in that box over there.
But yeah, bust that out, blow the dust off.
So yeah, we need to get in and make this happen. Maybe talk some of that 4D chess stuff.
Yeah,
get you thinking about how last round affects not this round but the next round, that sort of thing. So, all right, my friend, thank you for joining me for this hour and a half. The first 30 minutes is on Patreon in the pre-show. As always, don't want to miss it. We laugh and giggle like small children. It's a very beautiful experience.
It is.
So, Miles, my friend, thank you so very much.
Hey, thank you so much.
Yeah. And until the next time.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.